Today, we're continuing with the next video in our mini-series. Last time, you'll probably remember, I covered the first thing that I would do if I was told I couldn't get a mortgage. So, you might be surprised to learn that today I'm going to be covering the next thing that I would do, which is identify the problem and create a plan to fix it. Now, before I jump into today's video, if you don't know who I am and you're wondering, who is this guy and why is he telling me what to do? That's up to you, but my name's Josh Tomlinson. I'm the managing director of My Mortgage Finder. We're a mortgage brokerage that specialises in helping people, specifically with bad credit. We have over 30 members of staff and we do over £100 million worth of lending every single year. Identify the problem and create a plan to fix it. Obviously, to fix the problem, you are going to have to know where to start. And to do that, you need to know and understand what you're dealing with, which is why, first of all, we need to identify the problem. So by this stage, you will have been told that you're not able to get a mortgage right now. And yes, that is disappointing, but try not to lose hope, because by breaking things down into very simple steps, you can still get to where you want to be. So first of all, if you know what the problem is and you were told this is the very specific reason you can't get a mortgage right now, that's a great thing. It's a really good starting point because we know exactly the problem that we're trying to solve. But let's say that we don't know what the problem is. The easiest way that we can find out is by simply asking the person who told us that we couldn't get the mortgage in the first place. You simply ask them and you say, hey, what is the biggest thing that's stopping this potential application from going through right now? So what I'm going to do now is just talk you through some of the most common examples of the things that we see the most of why people are told that they can't get a mortgage right now. Obviously, the first one that I'm going to cover is I've got too much bad credit. And yes, we do specialise in helping people with bad credit, but sometimes there's just too much of it. It's too recent, so it happened in the very recent past, maybe a couple of months ago, or it's just too severe. Maybe it's a bankruptcy and it's really recent. There are still things that even us as bad credit specialists can't do right now. Another example is you simply don't have enough deposit. For example, you might have no deposit at all, or you might have a 5% deposit, but the lender that you need to go with due to your circumstances might require a 10% deposit. And what you'll often find is the deposit issue, it does go hand in hand with the bad credit issue as well, because the more bad credit that you have and the more recent the bad credit is, generally you will find the larger the deposit that you need as well. So you'll often see these two together. Another example is you can't borrow as much money as you want to. Let me give you a very clear example. You want to buy a home for 200,000, you have a 10% deposit, which is 20,000, so you need to borrow 180,000. 180,000 mortgage plus 20,000 deposit that you have equals a £200,000 purchase price that you're hoping to buy. But you can only borrow 120,000. Unfortunately, you just can't get as much as you need. Another example is you might just have too much unsecured debt. And what I mean by unsecured debt, to be clear, you might have credit cards, hire purchase agreements, you might have loans. So all of these things and all of this debt can chip away at the amount of money that you can borrow, which is similar to the last point, but ultimately that might be something stopping you from getting a mortgage right now as well. And my final example is the type of visa that you're on might just be stopping you from becoming a homeowner right now as well. So let's say maybe you're on a family visa or a spousal visa or potentially a working visa and you're not a resident of the UK. That could be an issue with some lenders and it might be stopping you alongside other things from getting onto the property ladder right now as well. So now that we've had a chat about some of the main problems that would be holding you back if you were told that you couldn't get a mortgage right now, we need to think about how we could potentially plan to fix these problems. But what's really important is while we're fixing those main problems that you've got, is that you keep your housekeeping really tidy whilst you're doing that as well. And what I mean by housekeeping is all the basic and fundamental things that a mortgage lender will look at during a mortgage application, basically their minimum expectations, but we're going to come more onto that shortly. So before we move on and talk about housekeeping and what that means, let's quickly discuss how we might fix some of the key problems in the examples that I've already given. So let's go ahead and talk about the too much bad credit issue. And we're probably looking at two key areas here. And probably the main one that we're going to be looking at is the bad credit that you have is maybe just too recent. And quite often, the best plan that we can make, if that is the case, is, as boring as it sounds, we just need to let more time pass. And what's crucial is while you're letting the more time pass, you make sure that you're not getting any more bad credit, because if you do get more bad credit, it's probably going to restart the clock and it's going to cause you the same problems that you've already had. One of the other big issues you could have with the bad credit is that it's not being paid back. Now, this on occasions might be fine if it's not paid back. On other occasions, it could be more beneficial to pay it back. Let's say, for example, an IVA. If that has been paid back, it's going to open up, generally speaking, a lot more options without as much time passing by. If it's not paid back, you're probably going to have to wait a lot longer before you get even any options at all. So two key things we're looking at here is how much time has passed since the bad credit happened, and then has it been paid back, and we will centre the plan around those two key things. So the next thing that you have is you just don't have enough deposit right now. This is one of the easier ones to fix, albeit probably one of the more time-consuming ones as well, because realistically, it's probably just going to come down to saving up more money or hoping that the money comes from another means, maybe a gift from a family member if that's a possibility for you. We also discussed how bad credit can affect this one as well. So by potentially fixing some of the bad credit areas in the ways that mentioned previously, that could actually mean that you have to put down a lesser deposit as well. So that might mean you might be looking at a 15% deposit and you fix some of the bad credit areas, and now all of a sudden you might need a 10% deposit. So I guess there's two potential ways of looking at it. The logical one, which is just save up more deposit, or if there are certain bad credit issues holding you back, by working on those or working on other potential issues, that could mean that you have to put a lesser deposit down as well. So the next point that I want to cover, where the problem is I can't borrow as much money as I want to, the biggest thing that's going to impact the amount of money that you can borrow is the amount of money that you earn. So the obvious thing here is there a way that you can earn more money? Could your pay potentially go up? Could you get a second job? Is there any way that you can just start bringing some more money in? That's going to have a direct impact most of the time on how much money that you can borrow. Or there's potentially a slightly other way of looking at it, which is, do I need to buy a house as expensive as what I'm looking for? If I was to maybe sort of lower my expectations a little bit and say, I don't need to buy a house worth the amount that I'm looking at, and I drop my expectations, potentially now the money that I can borrow will get me to where I need to be. So the next thing that we might plan for is if you've got too much unsecured debt, and again, this might be too much credit card debt, too many personal loans, that type of thing. And I guess the general plan here might just be to try and reduce that overall debt level. Ideally, if you know what you need to reduce it to, then we can just maybe put a plan in place and say, we're going to pay X off each month to get you to where you want to be. Or, you might know that in the future, in the months or years to come, you might be getting a cash lump sum. And at that point, we can build that into a plan and just pay that unsecured debt off. And the last thing that I'm going to cover, which is one of the potential points that could hold us back, is the visa type that you're on. Creating a plan here, I guess, is just understanding, is that visa type going to change? When is it going to change? When it changes, is that going to be for the better? For example, are you going to become a permanent resident in the United Kingdom? If that's the case, we just need to put a timeline on that, and hopefully that's an easy plan for you to make. So let's recap very quickly what we've covered in today's video. Identify the problem and create a plan to fix it. We understand very specifically what the problem is. We've then created a bespoke plan that's tailored to your needs to fix the key problem. If you do have any questions specifically about creating the plan that we've discussed in today's video, this is actually a service that we offer at My Mortgage Finder as well. So you can always drop a comment below, or you can email us using the email address in the description, and we'd be more than happy to help with that. But thank you for watching. As always, if you do have any questions about anything in today's video or anything at all, feel free to pop a comment below, or like I said, just pop us an email on our email address, which is in the description. And please remember, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications for future videos and more tips on bad credit, all things bad credit mortgage related, and we will see you in the next video.